Hello, and welcome to our today's tech talks about SigmaFine entitled SigmafineHub 3.0, What's New with the Display Authoring. My name is Michel, and I will drive you through this presentation. Please make your question in the chat section, and we'll have a question and answer period at the end of the presentation. The presentation is recorded and it will be available later for viewing. So let's see today's agenda. So we'll start with a brief overview of SigmafineHub for the new folks that didn't participate to the last webinar, the last TED Talk. Then we'll have a complete overview of the display authoring functions and everything that is included there. Then we'll have the Q&A session, followed by the next steps and the end of this webinar. So SigmafineHub overview, what it is. So what is SigmafineHub? So SigmafineHub is aimed to support SigmaFine customer in their continuous journey toward business process improvement and cost optimization in a constantly evolving technology environment. SigmafineHub is a new digital asset factory implementing a data quality sustainable process with the scalability for future endeavors. And finally, SigmafineHub is not just a modern version of SigmaFine, and it's not a replacement of ProcessBook. And this is a very important point. So, but it preserves your initial investment while providing a smarter user experience. So everything that you already have, with ProcessBook and the PyAF database and everything, it is still there. It just matters to import it along with your displays in the new SigmafineHub environment. And the othering tool is aimed to be able to create displays without the use of ProcessBook. So what are the SigmafineHub business values? So it preserves and augment knowledge, enhance search and diagnostic capabilities, automate and configure, allows you to configure workflows and configure new diagnostic and analytics. And you'll see, not in this presentation, but in coming webinars with SigmafineHub Studio, you'll be able to create and program, those analytics. It integrates business process and organization, so a better and seamless collaboration between professionals. You have a much better traceability over models and information and displays. And you will see now, versioning is really rigorous and in SigmafineHub, and allows you to follow all of these changes using versioning. It reduces your total cost of ownership. It's a leaner, faster user experience. Since it is web-based now, it's not client server anymore like you had, with ProcessBook. With ProcessBook, you have to load files. When you load your file in ProcessBook on your workstation, you need all the suite, the suite of all of our clients, workstation products, and it says workstation per workstation setup. So it could be quite heavy, in your IT resources, and when you have problems, each workstation can generate problems. While SigmafineHub is web-based, and the only thing you need on the user workstation is a browser. Actually, we support Edge and Google Chrome. So in a nutshell, what are the components of SigmafineHub? So you have the welcome page, so namely My SigmafineHub. So you can personalize the content and favorites, in SigmafineHub of your user experience, and have a quicker access to the different reports and displays from that screen. Then we have the admin function, so that allows you to create to import, for instance, displays, and create also users. And SigmafineHub use the Microsoft Active Directory accounts. So it just matters to bring those accounts in SigmafineHub and configure what are the rights and accesses for each users. that are allowed into SigmafineHub. We have one of the main part of SigmafineHub, the visualizer, and that's what we'll see today. So prior to version 3, we were able to import process book files into SigmafineHub, and we had to make all the maintenance and changes in process book and import it again. So now with the authoring functionality, you're able to change those screens directly in SigmafineHub and create new screens and models directly in SigmafineHub, and you don't need a process book anymore. Studio is, as I was alluding before, Studio is really the module in SigmafineHub where you can develop analytics, and our SigmafineHub Studio Analytics is a set of programming function, and it's a block-oriented language, which is very easy to learn. You don't need to be an IT professional, a professional programmer to use that. It also allows you to create reports, as you can do in SQL Server reporting or in Crystal reports, so you can create all set of reports and dashboards, as well as case running workflows. So the workflow you're using, with Sigmafine now, you collect elements and collects transfer and collects inputs and run. You'll be able to change this workflow in Studio with proper analytics, and be able to develop new opportunities in using Sigmafine. Then Sigmafine Explorer to reach and build model, and all the Explorer functionality is also available in the visualizer to be able to bring those models into the authoring environment. And finally, SigmafineHub Gateway that will secure connectivity with data sources. The only gateway we have now is with the PyAF database as data source. But in the future version of SigmafineHub, you'll be able to connect to other sources of data. All right, so from what are the benefits of using SigmafineHub? So for the former client server application, it's a technology, it's a client base or client server based tools. So each workstation, each user have to have his own workstation with a set of products installed on that workstation. So namely a process book and the PyAF and all the add-ins required, and into Sigmafine, the Sigmafine environment in the PyProcess book technology. Now you have an integrated UI, and it's web-based, so everything is sitting on the server, and you don't have to install workstations anymore. So anyone who is able to connect to the right network with the right credential can have access to SigmafineHub. So again, the client-server connectivity is replaced by the application bus, and the technology we use now is Windows IIS, so it's very well supported, and it's totally integrated in the Windows Active Directory security environment. Instead of building diagnostics, so as you will see as I was alluding to, we'll present a webinar about the SigmafineHub Studio, but you can develop now a series of diagnostic by yourself. So before we had the ADA, advanced diagnostic add-in in process book, and it was one view of that diagnostic and calculation you can do over your model results and cases results. Now we have a series of pre-built, diagnostic, including a ADA view over the your model and cases analysis. Now with SigmafineHub, you will be able to build your own. So not only your the one built in, but also the one you can develop in Studio. You have as I said, fixed workflow practice. Now it's customizable, workflows you will be able to do in Studio and apply it and use it in your displays. Siloed workspace you had, you were able to not very able to share information across the different users, since it's all file based in process book. Now SigmafineHub, and you'll see later with the whiteboards, you can develop your collaborative environment to develop model and share it across the various users, and be able to collaborate in building that model and publish it and put it in production. Yeah, the auditing capabilities in the client tools you were able to use with the OSI stuff, Pi technology. Now it's a unified auditing capabilities because everything is run on the server, on the SigmafineHub server, the web server, instead of running on the workstation. All right, so we saw, all the benefits it brings, and it's plentiful of benefits, that brings you to use SigmafineHub. So let's look over the display authoring tool that we have implemented now in the version 3.0. So what is in the SFHub Visualizer 3.0? So the new authoring function allows you to create and update SigmafineHub display. So if I'm taking our oil refinery demo screen, you can now edit this screen, and you can then change your elements, move it, and add new elements. So we have a complete set of graphical and functional tools that allows you to do that. Now we have a standard samples library, which is provided very similar to what you had in Process Book. Now it's available in SigmafineHub. And you can create your own library of elements, and you can inherit these symbols from your current displays that you have imported from Process Book, and create libraries mainly based on your Sigmafine AF templates, with element templates that you can inherit it, and that speed up also the creation of your own custom libraries. So yeah, and again, you're still able to import process book displays, and you will be able to carry on doing that even after the version 3.0. So because in between, switching from process book to SigmafineHub, perhaps you will need some time. So if you have made any change to a process book and want to import it again, it's certainly possible to do that, and we'll keep that functionality for later versions of our product. A new display and models design tool, including whiteboards, is now available, and nothing changed, in the other functions of SigmafineHub, namely SFHub Admin and Studio, except the version 3. We have made a lot of fixes and improvement to these, but nothing major. Nothing changed, from what you had in the version 2, for instance. And as I said, fixes are available, and we'll talk about it later in this. So what's a whiteboard? So whiteboards allows you to develop models without the use of Visio or PowerPoint or Excel to design it and share it with the various people participating to that design. So the only difference is when you create a display, you don't check is AF server. That's the only difference. So when you uncheck it, so it's not checked, the display is open, and it just matter to drag symbols to make a connection between symbols and so on and so forth. So to do that, you just need the access to a browser. So you don't have to install other software like Visio or other software for process modeling. So no needs to install software locally, and no files exchange. I think that's a very important point here. So you don't have to send back and forth version of files. Let's say if you have a Visio or PowerPoint or Excel, you don't have to exchange files. Doesn't need Sigmafine skills and detailed knowledge. It's pretty intuitive. Function, just matter to drag symbols to make connection between symbols and so on and so forth. So it's really really easy and accessible to anyone. can use the simplified whiteboard symbols library. So SigmafineHub comes with a whiteboard libraries. You have a simplified list of symbols in the library. So when I'm creating a display, in a whiteboard mode, I have the whiteboard library accessible, so I can open it and have access to a series of simplified symbols and drag it. So from my library, I can drag it on the screen and have my symbols. This is as easy as that. And you can, of course, change the name of that symbol. So the little name you see, the annotation labels, if you will, I can edit it and put whatever I need to put there. Uh, then I can drag many symbols. So if you look at that, it's very similar to what you would have in a process book or in attached display, to a model. But I just drag symbols and I just make connection between um, the various symbols and just put the right names, on it. And when you select, from one symbol to another, uh, it's just a matter to click on the first uh, symbols. You invoke, the connection function and just click on the second symbol, and the arrow is made automatically and will follow. If you move the symbol, it will follow it. So it's very, very nice, very easy to use. Um, Again, the whiteboard could be shared to your colleagues while you're developing it. It could be shared with engineering. Again, you just need a browser to do that, and the right access, proper access. Of course, you still need an account, and a proper rights, to access the SigmafineHub, website. And you can, of course, you can share it with external consultant if they have access to your network. Then when you have finished with the whiteboards, you all agree on that. Of course, you will be able to convert that whiteboard display to a Sigmafine models in the AF database. So from the whiteboard, there is a converter tool within, it's no external software within the Sigmafine hub, and you can convert this whiteboard to a model, and of course convert it to a normal, a regular SFHub display. So it's really complete as a tool. So the whiteboard stopped to be a whiteboard and becomes a real actionable display. So creating, editing a display, very easy again. So you can create a display. You just have to click on the create button. You will be asked to put the name, description, and of course you will have to say if it's a AF database based. If in that case it's a real, actionable display. Uh, so then if it's not checked, of course, as we saw before, it will be a whiteboard unbounded display. And then if it's a based on a model, uh, you will have to select the model. So I think you can start to understand. If you have no models, of course it's a whiteboard because you have no model to attach. So while creating the whiteboard, you will create the model. You can save it; it becomes a display. But if the model already exists into your AF database, then it's a model bound display. Then you have to select the right database server, the right database itself, and the right model in that database in the same order as said. Also, a new thing also is you know that into the AF database, let's say you access it through a System Explorer, you can make versions of that database, and that functionality exists since the really early time of PyAF. But now it's compulsory if you want to create a display from a AF database. You have to select the version you want to choose. The version shown here is the latest. You see there's a little arrow beside it. If you click on that, you can access previous versions. Graphical templates, as said before, it's really important entity into the graphic template into SigmafineHub. Each element must be defined into a template before you can use it. So when when you install, SigmaFine Hub, you have a default or a standard library of symbols, and you have generic icons. You have simple icons like lines, text, very basic stuff. Uh, that is a part of that standard library. It does contain a very impressive series of process or mechanical, objects, valves, pumps, stuff like that. Very similar to what you have in process book. Um, so the default standard graphic templates, it's organized in three categories though. So the prefab, as I was saying, the text, the polyline, the ellipse, circle, rectangle, triangles. Prefab, SigmaFine connections, and the icons as you see here. Also bear in mind that the standard database, the standard graphic templates, that library is not modifiable by the user, so you can't modify it. It is provided with the software. However, you can create your own. Then into a display. So elements. I just want to show you. I think it's obvious for now, but just to get back on it and some principles. When you build a new display, so you can go in a library. So it could be a general custom library, or it could be the list of elements. So if you're working with an existing model, you can bring from the list of elements directly, drag and drop, the element from that library to the display. So so again, you have both the existing library, so the general library, or custom library, or the element panel. So the elements panel shows all the model's element. Uh, so if you pull the existing model, link the elements to present to other elements present in the display will appear. So if I have, let's say, meters that are on my screen, so if I'm bringing this column, the station column or stripper on that screen, any elements already on the display will be connected to that new element you're bringing to the screen. And then clicking on an element. So as soon as that is on the screen, you can click on it, and on the right side of the screen, you will have this element properties panel that will appear, and you can make all changes you want, on that element, including if you want to add, annotations. So if you want to see the element name, you want to see the pressure, let's say the various attributes for that element, you can bring it into the annotations and be able to show that on your display. Change fonts, change colors, animation. You see there is a animation tab here. You can make a change of state. So you want to change it for green, for yellow, for purple. You have everything accessible, from that property panel on the right side of the screen. So yeah, as exposed before, just to highlight, the two main principles, in building displays is the auto draw principle. So uh, when you have an element here existing on the display, and you're just dragging an element from the model. So here I'm the element panel, so it exposes me the all the elements that are already in the model. If you're dragging on this, drag it on the screen, sorry, it will automatically connect, make the connection between all the elements that are on the screen. So in this case here, in this example, see there is this column, and I dragged a flow element, and the connector has been put automatically because it does exist in the model. So that's the auto draw principle. The other principle is the auto expand. So for the same element, if you're dragging, you have the same element, this column, on the display, and you double click on it. So as soon as you double click on this very element, all the connected elements will appear on the screen, and it will have their connectors, drawn automatically, draw automatically on the display. Display view. So that's a new thing. I think it's a pretty interesting thing. So a display view is a part of the main display. So you can create in the display. So here I'm in edit mode. If you click on the Canva anywhere, you have this canvas properties that appear, and you can click on the views tab, and you can create many views for a display. So a view shows a subset of an entire display, but it doesn't allow to edit or make any change to that display. So as you can see here down there is a view. As soon as you have a view, you have a views button that appear, and if you click on it, you can see all the views. So a display can hold many views, and a view really brings a visual presentation of parts, of the overall process and ease its viewing. So it's really aimed to ease the viewing of your main display. And what is interesting also, it's all included in the display, so you don't have other display like the sub displays. Sub displays is cool, but it's really, you have to make a display for every sub model. So it's more a way to bind a model to multiple displays, while a view is really to view a certain part of the display and ease the view. Sometimes display could be huge, and this views functionality is really cool to ease your job, in viewing what's going on with your data. So that's the last slide I had, on the othering. I hope you really understand well, and it gives you the taste to switch, to migrate from Process Book to SigmafineHub. So what next? So in the end, the journey, going to SigmafineHub, it's a call to action. So again, plan your transition, moving to from Process Book to SigmafineHub, and bear in mind also, Process Book end of life is in 2024. As a matter of fact, I think it's end of 2024. So OSI Software Aviva, they won't support it anymore. Although, the the software itself won't will continue to work. There is no expiry date, on the software itself, but it won't be supported by the manufacturer. So plan your transition. Plan if you want to do it by yourself. Plan your work. It's very important to carefully plan it. But also, you can ask our team, our project delivery team. We have a bunch of good guys. They can do that with you and assist you in that project. Open the conversation again, to prepare it, survey, presentation, recording, submit your question, carefully plan by talking to us and talking, among your team, how you want to do that, and really have a successful project. And of course, join the Fisher Tech Talks. We try to increase the pace where we present a tech talk more often, and give you all the updates. But with the authoring tool, we cross a very important milestone, in our development, and we're really enthusiastic, about the product. Yeah, and again, moving to SigmafineHub 3.0. So if you currently have a 2.0, you can, of course, you can plan and you can have access to the 2.0 version. The current version, we had a couple of patches. We are at the 3.02. Installation kit, of course, are available on the SigmaFine support portal. Bear in mind, very important, that to copy also the process book conversion add-in, because they have a different version for each version. So there is a version 3.0.2 for the conversion add-in. There are fixes and important improvements in SigmaFine 3.0. You can see the release date. So it's not just the authoring tool. There are also fixes and improvements. And as I said previously, our project delivery team is available to assist you in your deployment of SigmaFine 3.0. And don't hesitate to contact your PIMSoft account manager for any question you may have. So we're ready for the question and answer. Hope it was fruitful, and we're ready to fire for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay. So our first question, can displays be automatically created using the underlying model connectivity, i.e. flow node processes for those that no longer have managed Pi process books?
Yes, of course. If you have a model, then it just matter to create a display with a model, so with a AF connection. So the first thing you will see is you have not only the symbols um, libraries, but also you have access to the elements of that model. So you can drag on your display all the elements that are in the AF database. So no needs. The short answer is no needs to have a process book to use SigmafineHub. As soon as you have a model, you can use it. And of course, if you have no models and no display, you can use a whiteboard and build your model from there.
Mhm. Next question. Are whiteboards just a drafting space, or can drafts be published directly into the
Yeah,
active model without adding manual?
yeah, good question. Yeah, the whiteboard is really a design tool, so it allows you to build your model structure as shown, during the presentation. So you can put all the unit operations, the connections and everything. So when you're finished with that, there's a tool. I didn't dig into details because we have a short period of time, uh, but you have tools, in SigmafineHub that allows you to publish, this whiteboard and create a model and create a connected display with it. So as said, you design on the whiteboard, and then when everything, the structure is defined, you can publish it into a real AF database and a actionable display.
Um, Next question. How straightforward is the migration process from the current version to SigmaFind Hub?
Yeah, the process is it starts at the very basic. So be sure that you have a quote unquote a clean process book file and a clean AF database. So in process book is very, if I can say that, permissive. So you can put a lot of things in there. You can put unconnected objects. You can put pi tags. So all of these objects are other objects, I would say, are not supported by SigmafineHub. So if you have let's say a pi point um, value field, uh, pi points are supported through the AF database. So if you have a pi point with a data reference, in the AF database, it is obviously it is supported. But if you have a standalone pi point, it's not supported. If you have let's say, any object that are not in the model, you will have errors when converting. So when you're converting, all errors are shown to you, and you have to take action based on that to remove that from your process book and clean it. Also in process book, there are some clients, they instead of using the AF dataset, they use the AF2 datasets, which is provided by OSI Soft. The converter now make the conversion of AF2 to AF. So there's a warning. It shouldn't be a problem, but of course, if you can have ensure that your process book, all the annotations or labels that you have in your process book showing data, uh, if you have a AF data set instead of AF2, it will be much quicker to convert it.
Okay. Next question. Are the names of elements in whiteboard connected to the existing templated elements, e.g., creating a tank gives gives of a list of already created tank elements to pull a name from?
Um, whiteboards, when you're working with whiteboards, it's a good question. You deal with a symbols library. you can drag and use that. You can also use a custom library for that, but it is not connected to an AF database. And that's why it's a whiteboard. It's because it means you don't have any AF database yet. But if you have an AF database, then you can create a real display connected to that database, and then drag and drop your objects on the screen and build your display from that AF database. It's again, whiteboard is really when you're starting from scratch. Let's say for new Sigmafine clients that they have no nothing, or you have a new unit or a new model, then it's a tool you can use. But otherwise, it's if you have a AF database, you create a display connected to that AF database, and you build your display directly from there.
Okay. Next question. Which Pi components are not used in SigmafineHub 3.0 that as compared to SigmaFine
Yeah,
4.7?
yeah, good question. And to make a short answer, because there are some consideration, but let's say everything connected to VBA, there's no VBA in SigmafineHub. In all PyTrans, if you have PyTrans, it's not supported. If you have, like I said, Pi value directly connected to a Pi point, from the Pi archive server, not from the AF server, it's not supported. Otherwise, yeah, all the elements, and again, a typical Sigmafine display, normally you don't have that kind of components in such a display. So most of the client that we help or we receive, comments, in migrating from process book to SigmafineHub, they were successful in doing that because they had a very typical, if I can say that, Sigmafine display. Um, Otherwise, yeah, be aware of that and make sure that you don't have these or clean your process book of these component before you migrate it.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Are there checks needed in your process book display if it should be converted to the hub?
Yeah. As I was saying, check if you to be sure that you don't have the components I was talking before. And again, make sure also the all of your elements are in the model, and all the model elements are in the display, because what you will have to deal after that is when you reach SigmafineHub, although the migration will work, but then when you will open your display, it will say it's not synchronized with your model, so you will have to add the missing elements. So you can do that in process book and be sure that everything is complete, or you can do it later in SigmafineHub. But sometime if you have normally you have a few displays, if you can do that in process book, it might be shorter and quicker than if you do that in SigmafineHub.
Okay. Next question. Are layers and submodels supported?
Absolutely. So again, sorry that this webinar is not. I didn't put everything because I would need an additional 30 minutes to present all the details and everything. But certainly layers are supported, both display layers and model layers. So it's still absolutely still supported, as well as submodels. It is supported. So you can make sub displays from submodel and have the same approach that you have in process book.
Okay. Next question. Are there any major data handling differences for extracting data from 4.7 versus SigmafineHub for companies that have internal processes for data extraction for use
Good.
in other enterprise data models?
Yeah, good question. Yes, everything works. In SigmafineHub in the coming versions for 2024 and after that, we'll try to integrate all of these tools within the same environment. but for now, absolutely. If you take the data loader, the scheduler, the SQL access, all of these tools, the integration framework, everything's still working, and from that. So and if you have designed customized application to extract data from your business environment to Sigmafine, it's still working because the AF database is still there. It's nothing changed. It's really the presentation layer, the graphical layer, and the human machine interface is different in SigmafineHub than it was. Uh, Even the data references that you have in SigmaFine uh, is still there. Nothing changed. Uh, for with the authoring tool, it's really to convert from process book to SigmaFine Hub. But all the other tools outside, the graphical interface, it still works.
Okay, next question. What are the built-in analytics for the SigmaFine Hub?
Yeah, I was talking about the analytics. It's all the Signifying Hub Studio. Again, if I'm starting to talk about it, it's a whole presentation itself. Stay tuned. There will be a tech talk about Studio and analytics, and you will see, that's probably what is probably the most interesting new part of SigmaFine Hub. It's a very rich development environment that allows you to make reports, and as I was alluding to earlier, it allows you to make analytics for workflows as well. So stay tuned. Sorry, I don't want to get myself in trouble today and taking too much time to talk about it, but they will have a tech talk about it later.
Okay. Um, how can views be created in a complex display?
Yeah, good question. Again, to be not to be too short answer, it's really when you create a view, as soon as you create it, what it does, it copy the old display in the view. So it's like you have your the main display is copied. Everything is in the view. So then it's just a matter to clean all the elements, and you drag over all the components and you delete it. You just remove what you don't need, and then you can move your stuff, the remaining elements in that view to have a nice visual, and then that's what it is. And you can of course create many views out of it, so it's just a matter to create your views, and in each view to remove and move what you want, and have the view you want to have.
Okay. Next question. Will SigmaFine Hub separate out process units available in refinery-wide model, or do we need to rebuild the model in SigmaFine Hub?
I know, I was saying, it's you have it's really a the to transfer, to convert from process book to display in SigmaFine Hub. Everything that you have in the AF database still there. All of your applications still there. Everything all the let's say you use our Excel add-in, or it's still there. So again, it's really mainly for the displays and the human machine interface. As a matter of fact, you will still be able to run your models in PySystem Explorer, for instance. And PySystem Explorer is still there, absolutely.
Okay. Next question. Is the Excel add-in supported to build SigmaFine elements in Whiteboard?
Excel add-in to element, and no, it's not. No, whiteboard, as I said, is really instead of using Visio or PowerPoints or any other tools, it's really a graphical tool to build your model and display, and it's not related to the Excel add-in.
Okay. Next question. What distinguishes the current diagnostics from self-augmentable diagnostics?
Mm, what this? Um, yeah, good question. Good question. What we have provided, in the SigmafineHub visualizer is, very, I would say, straightforward diagnostic panels, um, and it tries to mimic, what we had in the multi-tabs, dialogue that we have in Process Book ADA. Uh, but what you will be able to have, uh, that's in the augmentable diagnostic, is with SigmafineHub Studio, you can make all kind of calculation. It's very, it's like being able to program um, all kind of diagnostic you want to do, and you'll be able to show that in a layer screen, um, that appears over your display, like a dialogue, if you will, and it's a dashboard that is provided by Studio. So it's you're not limited to what the software brings you. It's really limited to what you want to program. And again, we'll present that in a coming self tech talk, about Studio.
Um, so last question. I think this has to do with building other displays. Once clean, do the views stay synced and with the underlying model?
The views. No, yeah, good question. The views will keep, what you left in the screen, um, and if you make any change to the model, bear in mind if you change a model, you have to change the display as well. If you change it in PyAF, for instance, instead of changing it in the display, the display won't be synchronized, and you will have manually to update the display, and then you will have manually to update the view or the views, according to the change you did.
All right. Michelle, thank you for your time. Thanks for answering all
Th-
the questions.
Thank you. Thank to all participants. Thanks for the great questions.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Just a reminder, we will be having our SigmaFine Summit on January 24th. I believe one of the presentations should be on that studio. So you'll probably be seeing the registration opened up here in the next week. So if you can, please join us. And thank you for joining us today. Um, we do have one more question, Michelle. Do you want to answer real quick?
Sure, sure.
Okay. All right. Can models suggest end users such that model runtime can be minimized?
No, yeah, I think I understand. Yeah, yeah, it's very similar to what you have in Process Book. Um, when you're running the model, it runs, uh, and it can be minimized. It's there, so it's running. Um, but however, if you want, I can validate. I know that in coming versions there are things that will probably be better, because as you can understand, when you run something, it's a detached process running on the web server. It's not like when you're running that on your desktop. So probably you can run the model, and while it's running, you can look other things, on your display. But I have to check if it will be available. All right. Thanks for the question.
Okay. And thanks everybody for joining us once again. And thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Ryan. See you next time.
All right, I'll be ending the stream now. Thank you.